Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sporty's webinar on what's new in aviation headsets. On behalf of the entire Sporty's team, we appreciate you being here tonight. My name is Eric Radke. I will be serving as your facilitator for this evening, and we're very happy to have with us as your presenter tonight, who we'll get to in just a moment, Doug Ramley. Doug, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Few housekeeping items before we get into tonight's presentation on aviation headsets, which is certainly of interest to me. Like a lot of things in aviation, as you've probably seen yourself, there's been a tremendous amount of innovation in the last 10 years. Can you have better noise canceling capability? Absolutely. Can we get more comfortable? Yes, we can. Can we have additional features like being able to make a phone call and listen to music? We can have all of those things now. So it's been tremendous after a long period of time of a lot of kind of stagnation in terms of innovation in aviation headsets. There's been so much new that we can look forward to in the past 10 years. And with that, I certainly can't wait to hear what Doug has to say tonight to kind of get us educated on the new features. We're certainly not here to say specifically this is the right headset for you, but our goal by the end of the evening is to make you a more informed or a better informed consumer so that you can make the right choices moving forward. So before I hand things off to Doug, just a couple of things. Tonight's webinar presentation will allow you to submit any questions that you may want to have asked. It's possible that some of those questions may get answered along the way, but we will carve out some time at the very end of the presentation to pose those questions back to Doug. So I will be kind of collecting those as they come in, so feel free to submit those anytime. We will also have a couple of interactive exercises polling that you will be able to participate in throughout, so you can look forward to that. Also, we're recording tonight's presentation, as you're probably used to if you've been on any type of webinar presentation. So if you do have to step away for any reason whatsoever, rest easy. We'll have the entire presentation recorded and available free of charge, of course. You can watch over and over on our website at sportys.com/webinars, as well as on the Sporty's Pilot Shop YouTube channel. So with that, and so that we don't take any more of Doug's valuable time, Doug Ramley, welcome once again, and the floor is yours.
Eric, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be with you here tonight, guys. I've been flying for quite some time, and it's neat to share all this experience with you. I come from Sporty's Pilot Shop. I'm coming to you live from the Mecca, right there on the runway. You'll see the Sporty's building, and it's very fortunate I get to come to work every day and get to watch planes take off and land, so we really do love what we do. I've been flying for about 16 years now, and I'm the catalog manager here at Sporty's Pilot Shop. Of course, we sell headsets, but more importantly, we use these things. We try to fly as much as we can. It's never enough, but we really get in the air and test these things out, so hopefully we're selling the right thing to the right customers. Before we get too far along, we want to hear from you. We have a quick poll that we'd like to conduct right now and find out what headset are you flying with. And maybe we can curtail some of our presentation to help towards some of those items that you're flying with.
Yeah, absolutely. So Doug, the poll is up and in the field, and we'll give our attendees this evening just a moment or so to weigh in there. So Doug, as it stands right now, we have close to half of our attendees right now are flying with the kind of tried and true brand in aviation headsets, that being David Clark. And then it's fairly evenly split beyond that, kind of evened up between Bose and Lightspeed. So that's what that's who our attendees are this evening.
Well, excellent. That's fairly common in aviation. We tend to go with the things we know, and let's face it, David Clark is known for durability, so that's definitely a great headset out there. Well, let's continue on then, and we'll talk about what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to look at the key terms that affect our market in aviation headsets. We're going to analyze some of the buyer's guides and what's available in the different headsets. We'll look at the market and analyze the different levels of headsets that you can buy. Editorial comments are coming up, but more importantly, your comments are coming up. We have over 25,000 customer reviews at Sporties.com, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, but we're going to talk about all of them. And then we'll look at some tips and tricks to hopefully make the headsets you're using maybe more durable and increase some performance. Before we get too far along, we have to talk about some caveats. Let's face it, we can't possibly cover every headset, so we'll hit the most popular ones. More importantly, we're going to focus on headsets that are available today. Headsets from 20 years ago are still great, but we're really going to focus on the ones that you can purchase today if you so want to. We're only talking about aviation headsets. There's some people out there that will take a consumer model and put a microphone on it, and in aviation we really want purpose-built stuff for what we're doing, so we'll stick with what we know and do just aviation headsets. Finally, headsets are personal, so I am a person and I will offer some opinions on some of the things that I like and some of the things that we found our customers like. To know where you're heading, you always have to know where you came from. So just a quick history on headsets, and to see, headsets are fairly new in this world. Up until the 80s, we really didn't have anything. So we put in earplugs and listened to the roar of the engine and just loved life. But in the early 80s, we started to see headsets come into our world. Most of these were from the telephone operator world, and we adapted them to general aviation. In the mid-80s, we started to see headset brands like David Clark come out with purpose-built headsets just for GA. And that started a movement, a trend. And in the next 30, 40 years, we saw a lot of players come in and out of the market. But you'll notice the late 80s had the first ANR headsets. We call these kind of Gen 1. They were extremely big back then, and luckily technology has advanced to where we are today. The 90s became more mainstream with a lot of people selling headsets, a lot of different brands. And then the late 90s, we got into more advanced ANR. And then more features followed after that. So now I'd say we're on the third or maybe even the fourth generation of ANR. And we're all the better for it, that's for sure. So we're going to look at some key terms tonight that really defines our market. So what do all these things mean? And I really like this graphic here, and you've seen it before on some of our webinars, but aviation is filled with meaningless jargon, and the headset market is not without its own fair share of meaningless jargon. We're going to look at NRR, ANR, Bluetooth, TSO, and then some plugs and some other small items that matter a little bit still today. But to start it off, the NRR is something that you probably are familiar with. It's called noise reduction rating, and it is very simple. It's the measurement in decibels of how well a headset reduces noise. Picture this as earplugs in your ears or putting your finger in your ears to block out noise. That's what NRR really refers to. Now, it's really not as useful as it sounds. Many of the manufacturers today aren't really publishing it anymore. What your headset reduces in a jet with high frequency might not be the same as what it cancels in a piston with really low frequency. So the NRRs really came from a laboratory where people put these on some testing equipment and came out with a number. This was big in the 90s, and we had an NRR war going on between several of the major companies out there producing headsets. In the passive world, you'd sell more headsets if you had a higher NRR. So David Clark would come out with a headset with 23 NRR, and then maybe Sigtronics came out with one with 24. And the whole idea was, well, I cancel more noise, so you should buy my headset. Well, unfortunately, the way to get more NRR back in the 90s was to squeeze harder. So if we could squeeze your head more, we can cancel more noise. You can see how that might not be very comfortable to the end user. Luckily today, the NRR wars are over. We're not buying headsets on NRR alone, we're buying headsets on other things. So the next term is related to NRR. It's called ANR, Active Noise Reduction. You may have heard this before as ANC for active noise canceling or ENC for electronic noise canceling. They all mean the same thing. So when you hear those terms, it's all ANR. This is kind of neat. What we do now is we use technology to help reduce noise. Before we were just sticking our fingers in our ears. Now we can use some really high-tech stuff to help reduce that noise. How they work is simple. Microphones on the outside of your ear cup will listen to the ambient noise, and then speakers on the inside of the ear cup will emit the sound wave with the same amplitude, but in the inverted phase. Think of this as the valleys and the peaks now matching up in the opposite directions. This really did effectively cancel out a lot of unwanted sound. Most of the effective canceling is at the lower frequency range in the engine and prop noise. When you get into wind noise, it's a little different. But this is awesome for us GA pilots because now we don't have to listen to the loud engine of an Aztec anymore. We can enjoy the quiet. Bluetooth. Bluetooth came into the market in the 2000s, and it's really commonplace in most of the premium headsets now today. But it allows you to connect your headset to your cell phone. One of the caveats is you do have to pair the two devices, and both devices must have Bluetooth. Bluetooth is a one-to-one technology, so my one cell phone can be paired to my one headset. I cannot pair my one cell phone to two headsets at the same time. So no, me and my passenger cannot both use Bluetooth to listen to the same music device at the same time. It's great for using the phone, specifically if you're at a non-towered airfield and you want to pick up a clearance. You can start up, taxi to the end, whip out your cell phone, and pick up your clearance while you're waiting to take off, which is really great in some of the IFR conditions we have to fly in. Passengers love it for music, and then of course audio alerts have come into effect now recently with the advent of FlightLink and Garmin and apps that have the ability to alert you of traffic or crossing runways or all sorts of things that they've really came out in the last couple of years to increase your iPad utility. When you talk about headsets, you'll hear some people talk about TSO, and that stands for Technical Standard Order. This is the FAA's minimum performance standards. The lucky thing for most of us flying Part 91 is this really doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to airplanes that we fly. It might matter for some of us that fly Part 121. This is the airline operations. And I say that it might matter because different carriers have different regulations. We've heard of one specifically that said you must have a TSO'd headset in the cockpit. It didn't say you had to use it. It said you had to have one in the cockpit. So you'd find most pilots would have some sort of Telex Airman 750 in a bag behind the seat someplace that you probably couldn't even reach it, and that checked the box for their requirements. But yet there's still other airlines out there that also require you to use said TSO'd headset. So if you're in doubt on whether you need a TSO'd headset, check with your chief pilot or with your readiness officer. They should be able to help you out and point you in the right direction. Is a TSO'd headset better? Not necessarily. Just saying that you have the FAA stamp of approval doesn't mean it's amazing. So luckily for us 91 guys, it really doesn't matter. LEMO and XLR, these two terms are types of connectors, and these came into play here in the last 6 to 7 years. LEMO is actually a brand name, but we all call the plug a LEMO plug now anyway. It's a 6-pin plug, and the neat thing about this plug is you can get panel power to your ANR box. Most of the ANR boxes out there require 2 AA batteries. Well, using a LEMO plug and a LEMO connector that's installed in the aircraft, you can now use ship power, and us cheap pilots don't have to buy AA batteries anymore. Most of the new planes out there in GA are having these installed before you go out and buy them. So all new Cirrus aircraft are equipped with LEMO plugs. XLR is another type of plug that uses panel power, and this looks like a stage microphone. So if you're familiar with that big 5-pin, almost an inch in diameter plug, that's now called an XLR plug in aviation, and you can use that on most Airbuses, and some of the newer Boeings are putting those in too. Both of these LEMO and XLR plugs give you that added benefit of not having to have batteries in your ANR box, which is very nice for some of us cheap pilots. Stereo mono, this was a big deal about 10 years ago. But most headsets have the capability of having both stereo and mono. Stereo allows you to have 2 sides, so you have a left and a right channel, whereas mono is just the one. This matters a lot if you're going to plug a mono headset into a stereo intercom or vice versa. You might have some issues on either one ear cup working or both ear cup workings. The older your aircraft, the more likely it is mono. Most modern aircraft, anything with an intercom installed probably after 2000, is more than likely going to be stereo. It really doesn't matter for ATC. It's going to sound the same to them. It's going to matter to you on how this is going to sound in your ears. It's more for music and audio inputs than it is for ATC. They're going to sound the same whether it's mono or stereo. It's just that extra stuff that you put in after the fact. If you're on the fence on deciding between stereo or mono, stereo is probably worth the extra few bucks. If you're not going to use it now, you probably have an airplane in the future that will have stereo, and most stereo headsets have the switch on them to switch from mono to stereo, so you can always go back and forth between different types of aircraft. The electric and dynamic microphone. This is a slide that we were thinking about deleting at this time, but it still comes up every now and then. By far and wide, 98% of the GA headsets in the world out there have an electric mic. It is a better microphone. It's standard and it has better noise cancellation than the dynamic microphone. The reason we still keep this in there is because of the military headsets that are out there. The military spec is for a low impedance dynamic microphone. Well, unfortunately, that means all military headsets have to have this specific microphone on them. General aviation uses high impedance. So we have a problem here. We have low impedance headsets from military, and we have high impedance intercoms in the GA market. So when Uncle Ed, who used to fly in Vietnam, and he wants to give you his old headset that has a dynamic microphone on it, and you want to use it in a 172, there's going to be some issues with that. Sometimes you can find an adapter out there to do that, but keep in mind those adapters are anywhere from $60 to $100. They're not inexpensive. The eBay special of a $20 headset with a dynamic microphone isn't so special anymore. So watch out for those low impedance dynamic microphones. So now we're off to the buyer's guide, and this is really weighing the different features and finding the headset that's right for you. Just like everybody in the world, we want it all and we don't want to pay for it. So we have to weigh how important these other things are, comfort, quiet, clarity, durability, and then weigh that against the price. A good rule of thumb in aviation is you kind of get what you pay for in aviation headsets. You're going to find some deals out there, but generally speaking, the more you pay for a headset, the more comfort and quiet and clarity you're probably going to find. Keep in mind that there's no one perfect headset. You really have to match it to your mission. A gentleman that's flying international 777s from here to Hong Kong has a completely different mission than the guy doing a $100 hamburger 5 times a year. So each has its own mission, and each has its own headset that's custom tailored to that mission. The most important feature, in my opinion, is comfort. So there's no mistake on why this is my first slide when it comes to the buyer's guide. Because let's face it, if you're going to fly for 4 hours, you want to be comfortable. So weight matters in comfort. The heavier a headset, normally the less comfortable it is. But also the distribution of weight matters. Whether that weight is on your top of your head with the head pad or on the side of your head with the ear cups. The side pressure is a key part of the comfort. Let's face it, I have that big deficiency like many of us have. We have a big fat head. I was born with a big old melon, and as a result, headsets tend to squeeze my head more than most other people. So that side pressure is very important for me and really affects the way we wear headsets. Quiet is a number 2, actually. So comfort was number 1 for me. Quiet's a number 2. It is important, but it's not the most important anymore. And the noise level is really how you perceive it. You can see this nice chart we've made over here with noise cancellation capabilities. A lot of that ANR cancellation you see is at the lower levels there in the spectrum, whereas as you get to the high levels, you don't have a whole lot of ANR. That's your wind noise. You might have great active noise reduction there in that lower level, and then when you get to the wind noise, you have very little. So when it comes to jets who have wind noise at higher frequencies, there's capabilities of lighter weight headsets to do roughly the same thing as some of these active headsets without a lot of the weight involved with it. The one thing we like to tell people is your headset quiet enough for your airplane? It's likely you're not going to find a headset that is quiet across the spectrum every place you use it, but find one that's right for you. The clarity of headsets often overlooked, but it's really essential in our market. And this is where you'll find the cheap headsets will fall short. The qualities of speakers and microphones have drastically improved over the last few years. So buying that inexpensive eBay model here again is going to leave you a little short on the clarity spectrum. Audio and phone features is a feature that has been added to headset world in the last 10 years. And they have different capabilities. You have the ability to have a wired input and then also a Bluetooth input. First off, when you're looking at wired input, you have two things, a wired phone capability or a wired audio capability. I put a little saying there after the phone saying good luck, because wiring a phone to a headset nowadays is very, very hard to do. 6 years ago, you could find an adapter for just about every phone on the market, so I can plug my Nokia phone into my headset and make calls with it when at the end of the runway. Nowadays, it's really hard to find those adapters. So before you buy that headset, if you really want to wire your phone to it, you might want to check to see if there's an adapter available to plug your phone into that headset. Luckily, this is all replaced with Bluetooth. Nowadays, many of the premium headsets have Bluetooth capability. So now I can wirelessly connect my phone or my MP3 player to my headset, and I don't have to worry about finding that right adapter. Some headsets go even so far as to allow you to control your audio with the headset. This allows you to play, pause, or fast forward songs with your ANR box. AKG is one of those headsets out there that have that control. That's kind of neat. Keep in mind, this is for more than just music now. We've heard a lot of people saying flying with music on long cross countries is unsafe, and we're not going to debate that here at this time, but we're going to say that there are more than just music capabilities of iPads. FlightLink and Garmin have those alerts, and having them in flight is definitely a positive in my book. So keep that in mind. You don't have to listen to music with Bluetooth. Durability matters more about where you fly with your headset. In general, ANR headsets are not as durable as passive. Let's face it, with ANR we have microphones and speakers. The more moving parts you put in a headset, the more likely you could have something break. Now, this really isn't a big deal because ANR headsets are extremely high quality. This matters if you're in Alaska where it's really, really cold, or like in Central America or the Bahamas where it's really hot and humid. That's where you start seeing some issues of durability. If you're worried about durability, much like half of our viewers tonight, David Clark has the reputation for indestructible gear. They've been around forever and made here in America, and it's an amazing headset. So if durability is a worry, you can put yourself at ease with owning one of the green domes. You should be very happy with those. But the good news is all these other headset manufacturers are really good as well. The warranties on most headsets nowadays are anywhere from 3 to 5 years. We found a lot of people supporting them well after that. So if you're spending a lot of money for a headset, you're going to want it to last for a long time. Rest assured that the durability of the premium headsets out there today are top-notch. Speaking of durability, is that manufacturer support? There's some great questions to ask about warranty, reputation, accessories. If it's a new headset to the market, how much accessories are out there? Are there a bunch of product reviews on this? And how expensive are those repairs when something does happen? Safe to say all the headsets we have here on this screen have great warranties, are backed by really great manufacturers, and we here at Sporty's have dealt with every single one of these manufacturers personally, and they're very easy to work with, so there's always some good options out there. Cable variations, we talked a little bit about XLR and LEMO plugs already. The most common plug you're going to find in the GA market is twin plugs. This is also called PJ plugs or GA plugs. There's one plug for a headphone and one plug for a microphone, and 90% of us out there will be using these plugs. If you're in doubt on what headset to buy, buying a twin plug will not go wrong. Now, the LEMO plug and the XLR plug, as we mentioned, when you put those into your panel, you don't have to use batteries anymore. You do have to have a female connection, so it does require installation of the female side of the LEMO or XLR. It's a little more than what you or I can probably do, so it does require an avionics shop to do some wiring. But in the long run, if you're going to do a lot of flying, it might be worth it. Battery-powered headsets that are using twin plugs are completely portable, so you can take these wherever. Almost every plane has twin plugs. Even the ones that have LEMO installed still usually have a twin plug port, so you can use them everywhere. Helicopter pilots are special, so they chose to have a single plug. That's a hangover from the military days, but they still do them. That's called the U-174, and that single plug does both headphone and microphone. Luckily, if you buy a headset with one of these plugs and you want to go fly it in a helicopter or something with an XLR plug, there are lots of adapters out there. You can pretty much adapt any headset to any application, just finding the right adapter. And finally, there's some little stuff to look at when you're looking at buying a headset. And these, they might not be decision makers, but they might make a small difference. For instance, folding ear cups are really nice for storage. Depending on the size of your flight bag and the amount of space you have available, folding ear cups might be the deciding factor for you for a headset. AKG has lights in the ear cups, which is neat. With iPads nowadays, I'm not sure how useful that is, but for if you're still doing a lot of chart stuff or want some easy hands-free lights, that's a neat feature. Carrying cases are included with some headsets and some do not. And then, of course, battery life of the ANR and audio features is a neat a plus to have when you're looking at headsets. So now we're going to look at the market. And there's all sorts of stuff out there. Plenty of options anywhere from $100 on up to $1,100. We're going to look at the passive market, the mid-range market, the super high-end ANRs, and then of course there's some niches out there. One that just hit the market here this past year that we'll talk about, and that's the wireless headsets. Of course, new in our market, this is the innovation we find, and it's all normally at the high end. There's not a whole lot of innovation in passive headsets. They still have the same clamp the head type appeal from before. So in the high-end ANR headsets, we'll find multiple ANR microphones, both on the outside of the cups and on the inside. There's something called digital and adaptive ANR that we'll talk about a little more here in a following slide. The high-end Bluetooth features, where not only can I connect to a phone or a music input device, I can now control my music input device with my ANR box. Almost all these headsets are now focusing on comfort more than the NRR rating, which is good. We all win there. Can you top this service? And this is where, the men and the boys separate, because the headset manufacturers we're talking about today really support these headsets, and they do so far and above and beyond what headset makers in the past have. So if you have a Bose headset or a David Clark headset and 20 years from now it breaks, rest assured there's going to be somebody there to support it. Last but not least is a new wireless headset, and that's kind of a neat feature we're going to talk about here shortly. We have a poll on our screen here, Eric, if you can put that up there. But a lot of what we depend on when we look at the market is what we can afford. So this is what we're going to talk about now, is the budget on your next headset. This will kind of point us in the right direction on where we can focus some more of our time.
Doug, the poll's out in the field, and I can say it's kind of a game of thirds here. We have a third in that 500 to 700 category, another third in that 7 to 9, and then finally the final third in that plus $900 category.
Very good. So we're kind of looking at that mid-range, upper range premium ANR headsets. And that's what we're seeing nowadays, is most people are gravitating towards that higher end. We're going to start with, of course, the low end, the passive headsets, and many of us probably use these as our first headset. And there's nothing wrong with it. They make great first headsets for students, and they also make great passenger headsets as you move along the line. The pros of these type of headsets is they're definitely affordable and they're durable. There's less moving pieces, and of course there's no batteries to worry about running dead on you. The cons, these things are heavy, more heavier than some of the ANR options out there. They do pinch your head more, and cell phone interfaces are kind of hit or miss. To point out a couple of the nice headsets we have here at the bottom, the Sigtronics S20 is a great entry-level headset at $144. Many of the students in Sporty's flight school are flying with these before they move up to an ANR headset. The Echelon 20 from Telex is another good passive headset. It's right around the $200 price range. David Clark, the H10-13-4 is one of our bestseller passives, and it's around the $300 price range. And ASA's headset, the HS1A, I'll talk about here in a little bit, but it's around 110 bucks. So it's at the bottom of the market, but still a very viable option. When we look at mid-range ANR headsets, this is where you get a lot of value and performance for your money. There's good bang for your buck and some improved comfort over the previous squeeze your head models. Some of the cons, though, is that you don't have any digital ANR capability. There's fewer audio features, and they're quite a bit heavier than the premium headsets like the Bose and the Zulu. The Sigtronics SAR headset is by far our least expensive ANR headset here at Sporty's. It's kind of a Generation 2 ANR, it uses a 9-volt battery, but it's only 450 bucks. At that price point, it's a real winner for people looking at an entry-level ANR headset. The Stratus 30 XT is around that $600 price point range. It cancels quite a bit of noise, but it's quite a bit more bulkier than the other headsets, so you're going to find that that one's pretty heavy. The gem on this one is that Lightspeed Sierra, and it ranks in higher than the other ones in price at 650 bucks, but it has many of the audio features of the higher end headsets, so you get the Bluetooth phone and music capability in it. When you look at super high-end headsets, these are really the best of the best, and you can't go too wrong on any of these things. They're going to have the best noise reduction, best overall comfort, the high-end audio features, but you're going to have to pay for it. These headsets start around that $800 price point and go up from there. And we're going to kind of look at those headsets here in a little bit in more detail. We have some niches I want to talk about first, though. One niche is in lightweight headsets, and these are really custom tailored for jets, people that are going to fly long distances for long periods of times. So they're looking for a lightweight headset that just works and works well. The Telex Airman 750 and 850 are really the standard in the airline industry. The 850 is neat because it has battery-free ANR capabilities, so it gets some electric from the mic bias and then turns that into an ANR cancellation frequency. That sounds really neat, but it's a very small ANR, so it's in that 8 to 10 decibel range, and it's really not usable for us GA pilots out there. The one there on the right, the David Clark Pro X, is a newcomer to this market. We group it in the lightweight headsets, claiming it's mostly for jets, but there's a lot of people out there that claim this is also really great for piston aircraft. It cancels quite a bit of noise, and when you situate it right onto the ear cups or on your ears, it seals pretty well, and we've had people flying Bonanzas and Aztecs saying that it's great. So that might be a headset that crosses the line from jets also into the piston world a little bit. A new approach to headsets are these in-the-ear guys. This is Clarity Loft's line, and we've been carrying these at Sporty's for the last 5 years and with quite a bit of success. The pros here are that they're extremely light. You have no side pressure. There's no ear cup to worry about, so the pressure on the side of your head is minimal. Because you're using earplugs, they're also very quiet. But that's also one of the cons because you're using earplugs. Earplugs for a lot of pilots are uncomfortable. They push on the inside of your ear canal and can create some pressure there that's it's hard to ignore for some people. So it's kind of a hit or miss whether or not you're going to like flying with earplugs. You have to replace these ear tips every, I'd say, 2 to 6 months. They do need replacing, and they're not really inexpensive either. These all retail for over $500. So they're definitely in the mid-range ANR area for price, but they're also in the mid-range ANR for performance, and it's only a passive headset. The newest technology in our market is wireless, and that's what the Lightspeed Tango has brought to the market. There's been some other ones out there in the past that have been claimed wireless capability from some different suppliers, but never a mainstream guy like Lightspeed. So Lightspeed brought this to market last year, and some pilots love this thing, and some pilots hate this thing. It's a hit or miss as well, just like the in-the-ear stuff. But the pros here, you have no wires, which is awesome, and you have rechargeable batteries. There is a backup wire inside the Tango's ANR box. If for some odd reason your batteries fail during flight, you can grab that backup wire, plug it into the side of your headset, and communicate just like a normal headset. Well, those batteries are also a con, unfortunately. So now instead of just having one battery like in my iPad to charge, I have 2 more batteries in my headsets I have to worry about charging. Because we have batteries, we have added weight, and this isn't the smallest headset. The batteries add quite a bit of size to it. Your ANR box is pretty massive too, but let's face it, it's going to be in a side pocket to plane. So it's a great headset. The question you have to ask yourself is, getting rid of the wire worth having the extra batteries? And some people absolutely love it. So we're going to talk about the big 5 headsets. So these are the premium ANR headsets, which appeared from our poll you guys seem to be most interested in. The first one is the Bose A20, and this is I think the most popular headset in aviation today, and it's definitely our top selling headset. It is their best noise reduction ever. They've improved it drastically since the late 80s when they first came out with an ANR headset. The clamping force has gone down quite a bit. They have full control of your phone and MP3 player audio inputs, so you can have music as well as make phone calls. There's a wired interface for backup. Some people don't like to use that Bluetooth in the cockpit. No worries. There's a 3.5 millimeter aux input plug there. They have a priority switch for your audio, which is kind of nice. If you want to listen to music, but you don't want your music playing when someone else is talking or ATC is calling you, it can automatically mute that sound so you can hear ATC without the background music. This is one of the few headsets that are TSO'd, so if your airline requires you to have a TSO'd headset, this will check the box. And this retails for $1,095.95 for the Bluetooth model. There is a non-Bluetooth model available for just under $1,000. Lightspeed's Zulu PFX is their top of the line headset in the premium market, and they have a neat feature called adaptive ANR, and it's kind of a new thing for aviation. It can adjust to each environment. So if you're flying a Piper Cub one day and then the next day you're flying a Piper Malibu, those are completely different environments with different sounds, and the Zulu PFX can actually tune itself to those different environments. It has great audio quality for the music input. It does do Bluetooth for both phone and music. The Zulu PFX is really like a computer on a cord. So it has a computer inside that little ANR box, and as a result, it has firmware, and that firmware is upgradable. So as Lightspeed dreams up new features in the future, they can upgrade your headset by just plugging it into a computer. They started with a new cable that is wrapped with Kevlar, and it's a small thing but kind of neat because it's very super flexible and doesn't pull on your head as much as the older cables do. And at $1,050, it is a heck of a deal. So if you're looking for a premium headset that cancels a lot of noise, this is definitely a model. Keep in mind, because it is adaptive ANR and digital ANR, it's going to use a lot of battery power. So this has 4 AA batteries inside of it, hence the bigger box, and those batteries will last about, we found, 15 to 20 hours before we have to change it out, which is a little on the light side. The Zulu.2 is kind of Lightspeed's unsung hero. Before the PFX, this was their premium headset, and it definitely belongs in the premium headset market. It used to retail for $900, and now it's down to $800. And at $800, that's really a steal. So we're a big fan of this. The noise cancellation is great. Has a stainless steel headband. It's not a full digital ANR headset, which you're thinking, oh, it doesn't cancel as much noise. Well, you're right, it doesn't, but the batteries last like twice as long. So that's a really neat feature of the Zulu 2. And it still has all the high-end Bluetooth music and phone features of the PFX. Both the Zulu 2 and the PFX have the ability to use Lightspeed's FlightLink app. And let's face it, we're all flying with iPads and iPhones nowadays, and now we can connect our headset to that app, and that app records the audio that's coming through the headset, and now you can play it back, which is kind of neat. You won't have to miss radio calls. If you're copying a clearance and you missed a frequency, you can go back real quick and listen to it. That app is available free for iPhone and iPad, and it works with the Zulu PFX and the Zulu 2. David Clark brought out the 1X here about a year ago. This is their premium headset into the market. They use the same technology they found on the Pro X, but used it around the ear cup, which made noise cancellation in piston aircraft that much better. So this is really their answer in the premium market for electronic noise cancellation for piston aircraft. It has amazing capabilities for phone and music with Bluetooth connection. And it is made right here in the USA and is TSO'd. At $895, it's a good deal too. Last but not least is AKG. AKG is a premium audio maker, big in the consumer audio world. This is a headset they made for aviation, and it is very nice, just like their premium stuff in the home audio space. So you get Bluetooth phone and music. There's audio controls on the box, so I can pause, play, fast forward. And they put LEDs on the ear cups, so I can light up my cockpit if you like to. Another neat feature is they include both a LEMO plug and a twin pin adapter with their headset. So this will work in every LEMO aircraft as well as every PJ aircraft too. Now we're going to get into some opinions, and more importantly, we're going to get into your opinions, what our customers write, and that's where we get some neat stuff. But personally, I'm going to say right away, these are completely biased comments. So we fly with these things every day, so we like to make up our own minds on what's good and what's bad. For me, I like to avoid house brand headsets. You won't find a headset at Sporty's that says Sporty's on the side of it. So if you have a headset with the name of a pilot store on the side of it, it probably is making some sacrifices in clarity, comfort, and so some of those other things that we talked about. You do get what you pay for in headsets, and this sounds like a sales line, but buy the most headset you can afford. Generally speaking, the more expensive that headset is, the more kind of features it does have. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this stuff. ANR is expensive, but generally worth it. Once you start flying with ANR, you probably will never go back. It's one of those features that kind of like flying with the iPad with a navigational app up. Once you do it, it's really hard to go back to not having it. But there's nothing wrong with starting out with a passive headset. A lot of guys start with passive and then move up to ANR when they get through their pilot training. You're always going to need extra headsets for passengers, so it won't hurt you to start with a passive headset. All the top 5 headsets are really great, and when it comes down to which one is better, it really is a matter of personal preference. And we talk about this all the time about Coke versus Pepsi, and there's not a right answer. You know, I'm a Coke guy myself, the guy next to me is a Pepsi guy. So whether you're a Bose, Lightspeed, AKG, David Clark, they're all really great headsets. The question is, which one fits your head the best? So just if you backed me in a corner and forced me to pick some and which ones are best for what, personally I think Bose is tops for comfort. As I mentioned before, I have a really fat head, and many of the other headsets like to pinch my head. Bose for me has the least amount of clamping force on the side, so it gets my nod for the most comfortable. Lightspeed tops for quiet, and when it comes to that PFX with adaptive ANR, it is, in my opinion, the quietest headset out there on the market. But that doesn't come without a price. The extra batteries, 4 batteries, and also the lower battery life is what you pay for that extra quiet. AKG has amazing audio input, so music through the AKG sounds amazing. And then David Clark really has a heritage for durability, and that means something. And if you want a headset to last forever, there's nothing wrong with a David Clark, that's for sure. But luckily here at Sporty's, you don't have to take my word for it. We have tons and tons of people just like you out there flying with these headsets. We're up to over 30,000 reviews on Sportys.com, which is phenomenal. All these are verified buyers. We don't have spam coming in. We personally read every single review before it gets posted, and we do post 99% of them. We try to filter out the four-letter words, of course, but we'll put up the good, bad, and the ugly. So you see it there at the bottom. You know, some people think this headset is worth its weight in gold, whereas another guy said, buy this product only if you are starved and have no income. That's a pretty good review, and I'm pretty sure we don't sell that product anymore. Imagine that. So here are some of the reviews for some of the most popular headsets. We won't read these verbatim, but one thing to notice here at the bottom corner of all these, we put in our average review ratings. You see the Bose A20 has a massive amount of reviews, 263 is to be to be exact, and with a 4.65 average, that's pretty good. One I'll put out there is number 4. He says, in the end, I felt it was worth spending the money, which is a lot coming from a CFI who is by no means rich. Again, buy the most headset you can afford. The PFX, there's a great pirate from a guy in a Cessna Grand Caravan about how much noise it's canceling. But then, of course, there at the bottom you see one guy says the controller is big and bulky. It has a pretty good summary review rating as well. Zulu.2, I love this last review. It's an absolute bargain, and I gotta agree with that. $800, that Zulu.2 is an amazing deal for a premium level headset. AKG, people like the fit and finish. Definitely has a nice look and appeal to it, and it has a pretty good average review rating. The Lightspeed Sierra, this thing, I really like the Lightspeed Sierra as a value ANR. It's one of our favorites. People that are looking kind of on the cusp between a passive headset and an ANR headset really should look at this headset as a good deal. For $650, you can have a headset that has all the premium features with pretty good ANR capability, and you don't have to just depend on the passive noise reduction that's out there. This is the Pro X. We talked about this a little bit, but you know, there's a guy in a Bonanza F33 that's saying it's absolutely great for his purpose, and then there's some people at the bottom that say it's a total miss or it's not a secure fit, causing the ANR not to work. So it really depends on your head, your capabilities, and what you're flying. But this is a really lightweight headset that we really like for jets, and also has that ability to be used in the piston market. David Clark's tried and true, the 13.4. This is the most popular headset by David Clark, and most people starting out buy this headset. At $300, it's a pretty affordable, durable, passive headset, and it really works forever. The one con we do here on this is the clamping force. It is a passive headset, so it is going to pinch your head to reduce the noise. So here we have my opinions and feedback. We have what we've seen from customers, but everyone asks me, well, what's your favorite and what do I fly with? So I'm going to tell you, this is definitely biased because these are my 2 cents. You'll see my favorite passive headsets over here on the left-hand side. The David Clark H10 13.4 is amazing at $300. It'll last forever. You'll beat the crap out of those things, and you'll be using them in 30 years when your kids want to learn how to fly. I also put up there this headset from ASA, the HS1A. Now, it's not as durable or as comfortable as the H10 13.4, but at $110, it is an absolute bargain for those guys looking for, you know, just a way to get into this market. We see quite a few students out there that would rather spend a few more bucks on hours of flight training versus their gear, at least starting out. That'll change as you go along in your flight training. But that ASA HS1A is phenomenal, just in lieu because of its price point. My favorite mid-range ANR headset, as I mentioned before, the Lightspeed Sierra at $650 is a steal. I still have all the capabilities of the high-end stuff when it comes to Bluetooth and most of the ANR. It is a plastic headset, but and a little bit more bulky, but it does fold up nicely for storage. So that's by far my favorite when it comes to mid-range ANR. For premium, if money is not a factor, you really can't beat the Bose A20 in my opinion. My massive melon, it needs a comfortable headset that doesn't pinch it too much, and the Bose doesn't pinch it. It's plenty quiet enough and has all the premium Bluetooth features that you'd expect from a premium ANR headset like this. And finally, which headset do I use the most? And this may surprise you because I really am that guy. I use a Clarity Aloft, and I say that because there's not a lot of people that do. For me, it has no batteries. It's really lightweight. Remember what I said about side pressure. This has no side pressure, and it has a really small footprint. Simple. There's two small speakers and a microphone and a couple plugs. So I really like this headset. I fly with it quite a bit, but I've met a lot of people that won't even touch this thing because of the uncomfortable earplugs. For me, I was in the military. I got over earplugs a long time ago, so I can wear them for hours on end and be just fine. With that being said, even though I fly with the Clarity Aloft the most, I'll fly with just about anything. Many of the headsets that are in our aircraft have LEMO plugs on them already, so people leave their A20 in their aircraft, their Lightspeed Zulu.2s, PFXs. All those are normally left in the plane nowadays. So if there's a PFX sitting there, I'm definitely not going to remove it and put it in the Clarity Aloft. So I'm not a headset snob. I'll fly with just about anything. Finally, we're going to look at some tips here, try to wrap this up so we get to some questions from you guys. But here's some tips for keeping your headset up to snuff and maybe even improving some of the performance. Most ANR headsets are one-sided, so there is a left and a right. You can't just flip these things around. It looks really weird on your head, and it also doesn't fit right. Because you can't really flip them around, you're able to remove the mic position for co-pilot operations. So you're not forced to always keep that microphone on one side. You can flip-flop it to the other. You should know how to set the stereo, mono, and auto off, shut off switches for these premium headsets. Most, like the Bose A20, has dip switches that are located under the battery box. You can see them there on the picture on the right, and you can configure your headset to your aircraft. And that's essential to remember that, you know, if you're in a mono airplane and your stereo headset's only giving you sound out of one ear, the headset's not broken. It's probably just the dip switch inside of there. Finally, make sure you get good ear seals and put them on your head correctly. That's critical to the ANR working correctly, is having that ear sealed properly. So take your time putting them on. And also make sure the ear seals are up to snuff. You should probably replace your ear seals every 12 to 18 months. I know that doesn't sound like a long time, but the premium headsets nowadays use this nice, soft, supple protein leather ear seals. And, well, they're nice and soft and supple, but they do wear down relatively quickly. Keep track of your volumes when you're putting on your headset. You know, you have the communications from ATC, you have your co-pilot, and a good way to think of this is that the intercom in your aircraft controls the volume of your co-pilot. So you adjust that until he's right. The volume of your radio controls ATC as it's calling you, and then your headset's kind of the master for all. You really want to sync this with your co-pilot. If your volume's cranked up to the max and your co-pilot's cranked down to the minimum, something's wrong here. And adjusting those other two and making them closer to right for everybody is going to be the best course of action. And finally, that aux input from your phone or audio, you can control with your phone whether you turn that up or down. Make sure you protect your investment. If you're going to buy an $1,100 headset, spend the money on a $20 bag. That makes a lot of sense. When you're not using Bluetooth, turn it off. Bluetooth takes battery power, and the more Bluetooth and wireless frequencies you have in a cockpit probably is not a good thing. So turning it off when not used makes a lot of sense. Every pilot has ran out of battery life 10 minutes into their 4-hour cross country. So keep extra batteries on hand. I really like these battery caddies you see there on the right. They glow in the dark, and I can keep extra 4 batteries stashed in my bag someplace. And you can see they're available there at Sporty's. Cable management, putting some Velcro around those cables really makes my life easier in the cockpit. So I recommend getting some Velcro for your extra cable stuff. The lighter the headset means a clothing clip really matters for guys like me flying with a Clarity aloft. If you don't have a clothing clip, your headset will fall off. So that cable will pull on it quite heavily. Don't leave your headset on the glare shield in the sun. That's pretty self-explanatory. If you fly into a $100 hamburger and you throw it up there for an hour while you go in and wait and eat your lunch, it's going to be burning when you get back out. So try to keep track of your headset where it's at, keep it in the shade, and protect your investment. Finally, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't plug Sporty's. We have lots of headsets and lots of options. We always think we should buy all our stuff from Sporty's, but Sporty's is the #1 aviation headset retailer in America. We sell only quality headsets. These are headsets that we personally use. We won't sell things that we don't use. All of these headsets are in stock for same-day shipping. We have free shipping on a lot of the models that we sell, and the prices are guaranteed to be the lowest out there in the market. We have dedicated after-sales support from people like me and other people here at Sporty's, and we also have the flight test guarantee. This is has really been a deal sealer for a lot of people out there. I want to fly with a headset before I buy it. Well, that's easy. With our flight test guarantee, you can buy a headset, take it flying. If you don't like it, send it back. It's very simple. Try another one. So if you're worried about trying a Bose A20 headset, seeing if it's really worth that $1,100, well, try it out. If it's not worth the $1,100, send it right back to us and try something else. No paperwork, no hassle. It's very, very simple, and we really pride ourselves in offering this to the aviation public. So that's what's new in aviation headsets. So you can see my name and my email address up there. You even got my phone number and extension. If you have any questions, you can always email or call me. And I'm going to turn it back to Eric and see if there's any questions out there that from you guys that we can answer at this time.
Doug, thanks a lot. Fantastic presentation. A lot of great feedback along the way. I'm sure many will take you up on your offer. But let me hit you with a few. Let me take you back to, I guess, the Bluetooth feature that's prominent on many of the newer headsets. Is it possible to connect multiple devices to the headset using the Bluetooth technology?
So Bluetooth is really a one-to-one technology. So my Bluetooth headset can connect to one device. If I have one iPhone, I can connect it to my one headset. This comes into play if you have two headsets, like two Bose A20s in one cockpit, and I want to plug my phone Bluetooth to both of them. You really can't do that. Now you can do it one at a time. So if I want to hand off my phone or MP3 player to somebody else, they can then pair that phone to their Bluetooth headset and use it and communicate with it. But as far as using two headsets via one Bluetooth signal, that currently is not possible.
Okay, thanks for that, Doug. How about for someone that's looking for a small profile in an ANR headset, what's the smallest ANR headset that's out there?
The smallest ANR headset that's out there. You know, if you're looking for the spec sheet, the smallest is going to be the ANR 850 from Telex. It's very small. It fits right there on your ear. But it's also not suited for piston. That's really for jets. So if we move up the line a little bit, I'd say the smallest, lowest profile ANR headset is the David Clark Pro X. Again, that's sitting on your ear, but it does work for some piston operations. So if size is the matter, if you have a cramped cockpit, the Pro X might be the way to go.
How about, I'm going to ask you to look in your crystal ball for a second. How about the development of the wireless technology? Are we going to be seeing more in the near future offering wireless headsets?
Well, if I could see into the future, I would probably be investing in the stock market right now. But in the wireless headset world, I got to believe some of the other manufacturers are looking at that technology. The big question I have for the public out there is the cure better than the disease? The disease here being the wire, and the cure here being 2 more batteries to worry about charging and having to keep up to puff before I hop into the airplane. For me, in an aircraft like a 172, I'm not going to be getting up and moving around, so replacing the 4-foot wire is probably not worth the added hassle of charging 2 batteries. Now, for helicopter operations or professional pilot operations where you're getting up and moving around the cockpit, maybe that makes more sense. So to answer your questions, yes, I think in the future you're going to see other wireless technology out there from other manufacturers.
Doug, we'll take one more question if you don't mind, and I'm pretty sure I've seen you fly quite a bit with sunglasses on, but we have a question from the audience about whether you can still have an effective seal with the headsets if you're wearing, well, this question is related to sunglasses, but it really applies to eyeglasses in general.
That is a really great question, because we see this time and time again, people flying with sunglasses, and let's face it, a lot of headsets out there claim they work great with sunglasses. Bose, Lightspeed, they say, hey, glasses are fine. We've made it so around that part of the ear cup it's not as stiff. There's a lot of things people throw out there that make it so much better. And in the end, I find if I'm flying with sunglasses with a full around the ear cup style headset, that it's going to pitch my fat head just like it does anybody over the course of 2 hours. We see a lot of people pushing their glasses so the temples are actually riding on top of their ear cups, which make you look a little weird, but it does the trick. There are some things out there that you can do to help. David Clark has something called eyeglass pads, and they look like little wedge things you can put on each temple, and when you put those on and then your ear cup on top of that, it helps smooth that out a little bit. So that is one method of helping to negate some of that pressure. The other method, as I mentioned, is just pushing those temples above your ear cups. That seems to be the might not be the most attractive method, but the most practical for a lot of people.
Doug, thanks a lot. Really appreciate all the great information. And again, Doug's contact information you can see up on the screen there. Let me remind everyone that we recorded tonight's presentation. So again, we'll have this posted in the next couple of days. It'll be at sportys.com/webinars, exactly where you can come back and look at any future presentations we have scheduled. We certainly hope you'll join us again in the future for one of these presentations. Also, with Oshkosh right around the corner, wish to invite anyone that might be attending the world's largest air show up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, EAA AirVenture. Sporties will be there in a big way. Doug Ranley will be there in person. I will be there as well. We will be in the Sporties tent, which is just outside Hangar B, and it's worth mentioning that we will have all of the headsets discussed tonight available there for you to try out. So any of those aviation shows are a great opportunity to come and try on and see what really fits you best. So with that, we've reached our time, and for Doug Ranley and the entire Sporty's Pilot Chat team, I wish to again thank you for being with us and bid you all a very good evening, and hope to see you again very soon. Thank you for choosing Sporty's.